What's going on, guys? Fury's back at it again. Another week, another football news. We got Tim, we got Dula. Josh should be joining us shortly whenever he can, but you know the show must go on. Tim, take it away.
Yeah, I think Josh is in a meeting right now with they're doing a Divas like commercial between Odell and Antonio Brown. So they're doing a suit wear, a little voguing, little tie suit. So I'm sure he'll join us very shortly. But yo, Della, let's start off with this Eric Dickerson and Jeff Fisher beef. I mean, we're talking about Eric Dickerson, a Hall of Fame, a recognized Hall of Fame. The man who has 1,800 yards as a rookie that still hasn't been broken this whole time. And I don't get it. Like, we talking about the Rams who just got the stadium in LA open this year from a very long time. And Eric Dickerson is the only thing the Rams can hold on to. And you mean to tell me that for what the word is out in the street, that Jeff Fisher does not want Eric Dickerson around the facility? And Dickerson is saying that Jeff Fisher told this to his face. What up with that? Like, I'm shocked.
I mean, the story that I get is that, he's a legend of the Rams, right? So, he's going to come back to the game, just like every team. I'm sure if Michael Irvin, came down to the D, they'd let him on the sideline. It's just what you do.
Right.
Same thing with Barry Sanders, any Hall of Famer, any legendary player for a team, that happens. And I think what's happened is Eric Dickerson at the same time, and I said this back when the Rams were going to move to LA, that this isn't St. Louis anymore. A whole different market, and the patience was going to wear thin quickly. And I think that's what's happened. I think you have Eric Dickerson, a frustrated guy, who loves the Rams.
Right.
And you know what? He's saying what every other person is saying. Why is Jeff Fisher employed? What's wrong with this team? Because listen, for the last 5 years now, the Rams are supposed to blow in that division, and they've been bad.
Right.
At best, they're 8-8. It looks like they're going to go that route this year. So, Jeff Fisher on one hand is caught between a rock and a hard place. Do you alienate a legend, or for the sake of your team? Because you don't want a guy taking shots at the team that you coach and you personally.
Right.
Because Dickerson comments about Jeff Fisher as a coach. So, his response is, don't come around.
That's terrible, man.
I think Fisher handled it the wrong way. There was a phone exchange conversation type deal going on between those two. Ended with Dickerson basically saying, listen, as long as you're the coach, I won't be around. And I don't blame him.
Yeah, I think they definitely could have been more professional about it in both ways. But on one hand, I feel that Dickerson was just doing his job, as he does have his own show now. His job is to analyze. He's retired. Even if it is his former team, you're still going to be – if you're a fan of something, let's just be real right now. If you're a fan of something and it starts to go south, are you not going to voice your opinion about it? He's doing the same exact thing. So Fisher is just bitter that he knows that he's a 500 or less coach to heart. And if Dickerson was petty enough, he easily could have just said something like, that's fine. I won't come to the sidelines this year. I'll just wait for Fisher to get fired, after the season. He easily could have said that because everyone knows it would be true. So, but, at this point, obviously we know Fisher is just being bitter. He's an 8-8 coach. He's nothing better. He's lucky to have gone this long, just like Marvin Lewis, in my opinion. But I think it's still just a crappy way to treat a Hall of Fame player for that organization, especially just because it's over words that he said.
Right. My whole thing is this: is that when it comes to these football teams, especially a franchise that's been down for a minute, and you want to build up the morale, you want your former players. It's always important, especially to have a great relationship with the ones who represented your team and has done something in the league. You want to have a great relationship with that, especially fans. I mean, if we could take a little backwards, we all know that Jeff Fisher had a problem at Tennessee with Vince Young. Now, listen, for all those who have kids out there, we all know that if little Jenny and little Sammy are both arguing and they both had a fight, you take both of them, you pull them by the ears. You don't say you're wrong, you're right. They both are wrong. So Vince Young and Jeff Fisher both did something very dirty that Bob McNair said, excuse me, y'all both gone. You're released, you're fired for a whole year. You will never see another football team. So when you have when you have that on your resume, and then you see with this, that's an issue. You should be, matter of fact, Jeff Fisher, I'm sorry. Listen, don't get me wrong. I will say you haven't had you just got a rookie quarterback. You had a defense. You still haven't done anything yet. Still haven't done anything in this league yet. So hopefully that gets resolved. Hopefully it'll be something where they both shake hands, because the LA Rams just came back to the NFL this year, and you need something to grow. Their relationship needs to get better. Let's go on to the you know what, Della, man? I gotta give it to you. Last year in the NFL draft, you said the Giants was taking Eli Apple. That stunned all of us. We all went crazy. You just came out this year and just said the Browns will be 0-16. And it's going that route. I said one game they will win. They're on the bye week. Della, what are we going to do? If you're the Rams GM, if you're the Browns GM, what are you going to do? They're in the bye week. What are you thinking, like, the offseason? Because it looks like 0-16 is coming.
Let me say this. If I was the Browns GM, I wouldn't be going 0-16, because they have really screwed the pooch year after year after year after year after year. Listen, I got 3 things Cleveland can do. Listen, let's assume they go 0-16, and that's a possibility. You look at their schedule, they got one winnable game against the Bengals. I'm not even confident that they can do that at this point. Your 3 things. The first thing is you cannot fire Hugh Jackson. You can't do it. This is a team who shuffled through how many coaches in the last 4 years?
Right.
5 years. You get a new coach every year.
Right.
You can't win like that. You can't win going from 3-4, 4-3, 3-4, 4-3, and continuing to draft this way. And let's look at some successful teams. Let's look at Packers, the Giants, to an extent the Cowboys. What do they all have in common? They have head coaches that have been there for a long time.
Right.
That have seen highs and lows. Maybe not the Patriots as much, but all these teams that you talk about, Steelers, you got these coaches, you got organizations that stick with their guys, right? Even if they have a bad season or two. How many times have you heard, let's fire Jason Garrett? It's working now. It's working out for him.
Right.
That's the first thing. The second thing, you got to figure out who your quarterback is. Is it Cody Kessler? If it's Cody Kessler or Kevin Hogan, you got to dump RG3. You can't have him lingering around. And no, you got to ride it out. I really think they like Cody Kessler. And, there's nothing wrong with that. Ride with the guy, see what you got. The third thing they need to do is they got to get a lot smarter in free agency and drafting, especially drafting.
Right.
This is the same team who spent a top 10 pick on Justin Gilbert when all these scouting reports said, in fact, they spent a top 10 pick on a guy they didn't meet with.
Right.
That's lunacy.
Quarterback.
Yeah. And then, he had personality issues that just, he's just a weird guy. Like, he shouldn't be a professional football player. You draft Johnny Manziel knowing the crap behind him. I mean, we can go on and on. He drafted Brandon Whedon despite the fact that he's 30. Yeah.
Right, let's hear from Josh. Let's hear from Josh.
Don't rush me.
It's a Seattle thing.
I mean, the Bengals specifically, or that's what I was going to say, is the Bengals played terribly last week. That is possibly the last potential win that I could see, the Browns getting this season. Other than that, I agree with Dula. They could be that 0-16 team this season. As far as Marvin Lewis goes, though, in my opinion, he's been there so damn long, and he's already had so many 0-1 playoff outings. I think he's has 4 consecutive.
Right.
And that's with the same corpse that he's had right now. Dalton, A.J. Green, a decent running back before, I think Bernard came along in 12 or so. A mediocre O-line and an okay defense to at least get you there to the playoffs. But every time it falls on Dalton slumping and the coach not being prepared. It's always the coach's job to get your team ready to play the game on Sunday. We even got a hint of that from Aaron Rodgers this Sunday, or, a couple Sundays ago when he was hitting about McCarthy. Our team didn't have enough energy. We weren't motivated enough, So,
Right.
In my opinion, I think Marvin Lewis needs to go. Yes, there's a carousel of coaches, but at the same time, this is a win-now league, or get the hell out so I can find someone that can do it for me. And, you see the organizations that don't go out and find a new coach with a talented team that they have right then and there, a la the Jaguars, they're suffering. And it's just going to keep going that route until they do something about it. So, in my opinion, they need to do something. And the same thing with the Browns. I don't know if Hugh Jackson is the right – he could be. I mean, he did bring that awful Raiders team to 8-8, and, they started going upwards before Del Rio got there. But at the same time, we only got a glimpse of that for one season, and then he was out. So we would get to see a long, and that's the thing. I don't know if he's the answer right now for the Browns.
That's the thing about that Browns roster is that's not a Hugh Jackson roster. He had no part in that.
That's true too.
I mean, my personal opinion is that with Hugh Jackson, he deserves a whole season. Like next year. We're not even thinking about playoff. We're thinking about, depending on how they finish this year, more wins than this year. And let's see how it goes forward. Let the fans in the NFL feel that the team is getting better. I would keep Kessler. There's no use of. I mean, I know there's a fan out there with a Cleveland Browns jersey with all the names of the quarterbacks they ever had. You don't need that no more. You stick with what you got right now. You feel good with Kessler. You build around that. You got Terrell Pryor on offense. You got Coleman. All right. Make sure the offensive line stays decent. You got Sheldon at the defensive line. You got hopefully Collins will stay. You let a lot of these older guys go, and you rebuild, and just hopefully you'll be better than the following year until it's like Jacksonville with Jacksonville. Jacksonville on paper looks great. On paper. I don't know what the coaches are doing, but on paper they look great. We had them in the playoffs. Maybe it's a slump year. Maybe you give the coach one more shot, but it's terrible.
All right, we need to talk about the 49ers quick before we run out of time.
I also think they just need to throw RG3 out there and see what they got with him, while he's healthy, before they pitch him. Just see what he's got.
He only played a total of 2 quarters and 10 minutes. That's all he played with the Browns. So, yeah, he is on the shot. But let's go down to the other guy who loves to kneel down. Colin Kaepernick. I'm sorry. He looks great. I'm going to take it back. I'm the one who said Colin Kaepernick won't be that good. And I'm going to tell you this right now. He's looking pretty decent. No media attention, none of that. The team is playing a whole lot better. This is the Colin Kaepernick that we were saying that if Chip Kelly had his hands on him, what he could do in that type of offense, my God. And you've seen a little glimpse of it. His quarterbacking skills are getting much better. He's not even hesitating throwing the football. He's throwing it where he needs to be, where he needs to get at. They almost won the game with the Dolphins, which is a big game, because you at their stadium, they were clearly the favorite. What was the spread on that? I think it was 13.5. We don't have Dominic here. Dominic's normally doing the spread, but it was high. And I'm sorry. Oh, my personal opinion, if he didn't kneel down and he just jumped over the pile out, that's just any fan would say that, they would have won that game. And Colin Kaepernick is looking way better. I don't know what they're gonna do in the offseason. Maybe sign him to another 1-year deal to see what he got. But he's looking pretty good. He's looking pretty good.
No, I disagree. I disagree. I disagree in the sense of I don't think he's back in San Francisco, and I actually think that's the right move.
Right.
Again, 3 things. If I'm looking at this depth chart right now, here's what they have to do. The first thing they have to do is they got to get better at linebacker and at defensive back. They burn 2 picks. They get Buckner. They get Arik Armstead. I think, that those are some building blocks on the defensive line, but they got to get better at linebacker. I think this is it for Navarro Bowman. That's another injury. If you look at the rest of them, Ahmad Brooks doesn't inspire much. Neither is Aaron Lynch. They just got to get better at linebacker. And then, as defensive backs, I mean, that they've spent some picks on that position, but I still think they got to get better there. That's your first thing. Your second thing is you got to upgrade your talent on offense across the board. Torrey Smith and Jeremy Curley are starting receivers. That is not going to cut it. I'm sorry. This isn't New England. They make Jeremy Curley, a 1,200-yard receiver, but you don't got Tom Brady. You have to upgrade your talent across the board there. You may even let Joe Staley walk and tear this thing, down from the very beginning. Your third thing is you got to get a head coach in there. And first of all, I think they're going to fire Chip Kelly. I really think Chip Kelly is going to do a Jim Harbaugh and go back to college. That's where he belongs. I think he's a much better college coach. You need to find a coach who is going to, like Harbaugh, come in there and kick ass and take names. You can't have a passive guy in there. You can't have a play. No, you got to kind of have a guy who might rub you the wrong way, but he's going to get the job done. I think those are 3 things they need to do.
I think Serena Thomas would be a good coach.
Yeah, I thought Kaepernick played well as well, but I also think it was due to the volume that he had. If just looking at the box score, he had 16 more passing attempts than Tannehill, and he only had 11 more passing yards than him. And this at the same time, Kaepernick is over here. He had only 3 less rushing attempts than Carlos Hyde, who's supposed to be their main workhorse of a running back over there. So while he put up pretty numbers, it was also due to him just having most of the volume of the offense on that Sunday.
Listen, you know what? It's gonna. You know what, W? You're right. If Chip Kelly doesn't get fired, it's gonna. Hey, listen. I said, how about Lovie Smith? Bring him back. I think Lovie Smith will do a good job. I
don't know if he's willing to leave Illinois, but I mean, then again, that's not a glamorous job either. So,
because I'm gonna tell you this, no matter. First of all, Jim Harbaugh had total control. Jed York, the GM for the 49ers, he's not the type that's gonna have somebody run it. He's gonna want to run it himself. So he's gonna get somebody he can control. So, but maybe possibly get somebody from a young coaching staff. Who knows? But listen, it's gonna be an interesting offseason for these 2 teams. As of right now, the Browns hold the number 1 overall pick and the 49ers the number 2 overall pick. Do you still change your mind on who they're gonna take? 1, 2?
No, I think Cleveland should not take a quarterback 1. I think they should take the best player in the draft. I think that's going to be Myles Garrett out of Texas A&M and figure out where to put him on defense, whether it's linebacker or end. 49ers, they're in a tough spot there. Get a quarterback at 2 and ride it out. I just don't know if Deshaun Watson or Deshaun Kaiser or Mitch Trubisky is going to be the answer.
All right, Josh, let me ask you a question, Josh. Going back to the Browns. Terrell Pryor looked pretty good. Yeah. I know you've seen that. What was your when the Browns was at their own 2 to 3 yard line, and they threw that big play to Terrell Pryor? What was your reaction like Did you break anything, or did you say, "Yo, what the hell's going on here?" Like, what was your reaction? I think Terrell Pryor is going to be a good off-season free agent. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really do.
Are you referring to the past when Janoris went up and he could have been like, potential little holding or PI a little bit? Okay. I agree. They could have thrown the flag, but they let them play it out, obviously. Yeah, it could have gone either way. I would have been pissed, obviously, if the flag came out. But like I said on the 2-minute warning page, I think Terrell Pryor is going to be a big wide receiver when it comes to free agency next year in the offseason. And he's 6'4". He's athletic as hell. He can play the slot and he can play the outside.
Right.
I'm drooling over thinking about having him in case we get rid of Cruz and possibly having him outside of Odell and Shepard in the slot. I mean, and they can switch it up a bit. Hey, and he's got those massive mitts, man. That's another thing. Those XXL hands, those always come in handy when you got those catcher mitts.
Let me ask you this: do the Giants have 12 million?
Let's wrap it up. We got to run to the second down.
All right, listen. As far as Pryor goes, if you got $12 million per season, go ahead, because that's what he's probably going to get. At least that.
Yeah, I think he will. Well, I'm gonna keep it real. If Seattle Seahawks don't sign a wide receiver, shame on them. I mean, damn, what's it gonna take for the Seahawks to sign a wide receiver? When? John, you know when?
They kind of did, but it wasn't cream of the crop. I mean, but I mean, even Michael said wide receiver was not like the best. It was not the best drafting season for wide receiver this year.
No, they're going to sign one. When they're going to sign one in free agency.
Sign one.
They need one. They need one. Hey.
That's a different argument. But we got to wrap it up.
All right, man.
We got to go to the next down.
I know you was pissed off last week.
All right, guys. We'll be right back next down.